zaliwa tangu mababu zao kutoka Malindi mpaka dakika hii, wengi wao Mheshimiwa Spika hawana title deed na hawezi kujivunia mahali ambapo wamezaliwa na mahali ambapo wanapaita nyumbani. Mheshimiwa Spika, ardhi nyingi za Malindi zimeweza kuzuiliwa na mabwenyenye, watu ambao hatuwajui, hatuwatambui na hatujui wamepata vipi ardhi zile ambazo ziko Malindi. Tumeona mara nyingi Mheshimiwa Spika, watu wangu wa Malindi wakiweza kuvunjiwa manyumba yao, wakiweza kudhulumika kwa njia moja au nyingine. Kwa hivyo leo hii mimi Mheshimiwa Spika, ninaposimama hapa naunga mkono huu mswada kwa sababu najua jambo la kwanza, tume ya ardhi imekuwa ni mahali ambapo tumekimbilia na mahali ambapo wameweza kutupatia sikio, na niko na uhakika katika upande wa ardhi zile za kule pwani kuna suluhisho nyingi ambazo zimeweza kutufikia kwa kupitia tume ya ardhi hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiikata mikono hii tume ya ardhi, niko na hofu na wasiwasi ya kwamba kuna zile kesi ambazo ziko pale tayari katika tume ya ardhi ambazo mpaka dakika hii hazijaweza kukamilika. Tunapowafunga mikono hii tume ya ardhi, wale watu wenye ambao walikuwa tayari hizi kesi zao zimeshaanza, wataenda wapi na watasikilizwa na nani tena? Kwa hivyo mimi mapendekezo yangu kama vile Mheshimiwa Owen Baya na wale wabunge wengine ambao walivyosema ni kwamba tuunge mkono mswada huu, tuzidi kuwapatia nguvu hii tume ya ardhi, tuweze kuwaongezea muda ili waweze kutatua zile shida za ardhi zenye ambazo tumekuwa nazo zote. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante sana.
MILLY ODHIAMBO, did you contribute on this motion? Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wish to congratulate Honorable Owen for bringing this bill, and I support, but with proposed amendments. Mr. Speaker, the principal object of the bill is to amend the National Land Commission Act number 5 of 2012 to confer back to the National Land Commission the power to continue reviewing all grants or dispositions of public land to establish their propriety or legality since Section 14 of the Principal Act has since elapsed. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the members that it is indeed important that we ensure that the Commission is enabled to do the work that it did not complete. However, at the same time, we must go back to the legislative history and find out why there was a limitation. As a person who was involved in the making of the constitution of the country, I can tell you, if you look at the schedule, Mr. Speaker, virtually every law we provided for a timeline. And I sat in the select committee that was developing that law. And the essence was that we know that land is a very emotive issue, and especially on the issue of historical land injustices that has created conflict. We have seen women displaced, we have seen old men displaced, we have seen children displaced, and whole communities displaced because of the emotive issue of land. And that is why you are saying that if there's a thorny issue, especially in the coastal region, where there have been issues of land injustices, you cannot leave it open forever. Mr. Speaker, if you leave for the Land Commission the opportunity to let this matter go on and on without a time frame, then it will become another cash cow, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know that in this country, and I've said it before on the floor of this House, that when you see a task that is never completed, it's because people want to eat out of it. And therefore, it is important, and I'd want to encourage my brother Honorable Owen Baya, that do not just consider leaving it open, because then it will not be sorted. Every time you will ask about whether the issue of the historical land injustices have been sorted, you will be told we are working on it. And you are working on it because other people have their own interests. Some people will be interested in acquiring land that they have discovered. Others will be interested in selling land that they have no title to. Others will be, and you know how land in this country is. And that is why we provided a timeline. My suggestion would be that you actually go by the what was provided in the original bill, or rather in the original act, that you give it a timeline, even if it's not 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, but with a mandate to report back to Parliament and indicate to Parliament what has actually been done. Where have they, what steps have they covered? How far have they gone? Because otherwise you'll just have this on and on and on. The other challenge that I have is a suggestion to actually remove the criteria, especially on the issue of historical land injustices. When you do that, you actually make it discretionary, and you know that in this country, we are not in love with the discretion. Anybody that is given discretion tends to abuse discretion. And that is why if you look at even earlier legislation on this House, we tend to tie hands. And that's why sometimes I disagree with the courts. For instance, in the case of a Sexual Offences Act, that we provided for minimums. And the reason we provided for minimums is that you would expect that a very sober and normal person, if you went before them and you told them that maybe a 60-year-old man has raped a 3-year-old, that they will jail them for life. But there are people who would then use the discretion to let that person go off on probation. And that is why we said as a parliament on certain issues, you need to guide even the commission that is doing that. It is not taking away their independence. It's basically also empowering them with the tools so that they are not considered as misusing that discretion. So perhaps that is one of the things that you need to reconsider, even if it means you provide other standards, but provide those other standards that will guide them not to misuse or abuse. And unfortunately, I don't know why human beings, God gives us the opportunity to learn and we don't learn. If I remember, and sometimes Parliament is the most amazing. I'm just about to release my book. And I always tell people that the change of guard is one event away. In the last Parliament, you are here, we were the ones making faces at you. Now you are the ones sitting there as, what is your title, Deputy Whip or Deputy Whip? Yet while you are sitting there, you forget that circumstances change. It's just one event away. And sometimes that event is as sad as General Ogolla dying in a crash. The family's tears have sadly dried, but somebody else has been sworn and is already doing his work. So in the same manner, when you are making laws, make laws for your good times and your bad times. Make a law that will work for you in season and out of season. And that is why I know there's been a lot of concern about the proposed amendments, that it might create new, I don't want to call them historical because they are no longer historical, current injustices. That there are people who are seeking to punish others who they deem to have taken land. Now it is our time to grab. Let us now put a wider time frame so that we can grab that land. Grab it knowing that people will come for your own children. The same way I'm saying you are sitting there, just a few months ago, you are not sitting there. Why can't God just give us the grace and mercy to learn that circumstances change? Learn to be fair, learn to play by the rules so that you don't put our children at a fix. But above all, so that we can also bring stability in this country. There are things that we have had a lot that has become like broken telephone. It's the way nowadays I hear people talking all the time about colonialism. We can't do this because we are colonized. By the time the colonialists left, I had not been born. So why am I blaming colonialists all my life? Yes, we were colonized, yes, but what are we doing about it? Get up and change your lifestyles. We can't blame people all our lives. And I think as a country we should be tired of hearing the issue of historical land injustices. And that's why we need a time frame, sort out those issues, and let us hear the concerns about Gen Zs who are giving us lectures as their parents. How do you deal with those ones? How do you deal with AI? How do we deal with other issues that are emerging that are faster than us? Instead of now, we are dealing with the historical land. There are things that are here in this house. My left ear is blocked. I don't know if it's because of things like that. For the last 3 days, my ear has been blocked. Perhaps it's because we are not moving forward. And we had actually started so wonderfully when we came up with the Constitution in 2010. We passed a plethora of laws. that was forging the country forward. And my worry is we seem to be having a clawback. It reminds me of recently when we went for a women's